So the 5 branches which are exiting from the parotid gland of the facial nerve, we need to remember individual branches. The first branch, that is the temporal, it will supply which all muscles, so kindly mark it down. It will supply the following muscles like auricularis anterior, auricularis superior, then it will supply a part of orbicularis oculi, then it will supply corrugator supercilii, procerus. These are the muscles and a part of the frontalis muscle, that is temporal division. Second branch will be, the second branch is zygomatic. This zygomatic branch will supply only lower part of orbicularis oculi, only the lower part of orbicularis oculi. Whereas this temporal branch, as I told you, the auricularis anterior superior, the orbicularis oculi group, and there are so many, the muscles of the upper part of the nose, procerus, corrugator supercilii, etc. Corrugator supercilii, the procerus, etc. So this zygomatic, only the lower part of orbicularis oculi. Then we come across to the upper buccal branch. This upper buccal branch will supply, it will supply zygomaticus major and zygomaticus minor group. It will supply this group. It will also supply the muscles of the nose. Which are the muscles of the nose? Compressor naris and dilator naris. And it will also supply here, it will supply levator anguli oris, levator labii superioris aliqui nasi, and it will supply levator labii superioris. So these are the muscles which are supplied by upper buccal branch. Then we come across to the lower buccal branch. What it will supply? Lower buccal branch, it will supply the muscles which are the remaining muscles of the lower part of the facial architecture. So therefore, it is going to supply here buccinator and it is going to supply orbicularis oris. And then we come across to marginal mandibular nerve. This nerve, marginal mandibular, will supply the remaining muscles present on the body of mandible. For example, here, if we name these muscles, it will be the risorius muscle, it will be the depressor anguli oris muscle, it will be the depressor labii inferioris muscle, and it will be the mentalis muscle. All these muscles are present in the lower part, just around the body of the mandible. And we come across to the last branch. This is cervical. It will supply the muscle which will be known as platysma. So therefore, this individual branches distribution you have to remember. Now we come across to applied anatomy, facial palsy or Bell's palsy. What is the basis of facial palsy or Bell's palsy? It will be the basis of facial palsy and Bell's palsy, or it is called facial or Bell's palsy. Both are one and the same. We need to understand the nuclei, arrangement of the facial. For example, this is the facial nuclei. This is the facial nuclei. Here, I will just represent this rectangular portion as the face. And I will divide this face into upper half, lower half. Upper half of the facial muscles, lower half of the facial muscles, and the facial nerve nucleus. Now this facial nerve nucleus is, it will be controlled by two segments, cortical areas. The cortical area opposite side, cortical area same side. So this is the same side, this is the opposite side. Opposite side is called contralateral, same side is called ipsilateral. Now remember one thing, the part of the facial nerve nucleus, the part of the facial nerve nucleus which will supply to the upper part of the face. If this is the facial nerve nucleus supplying the upper part of the face, upper part of the facial muscles, this will receive the corticonuclear fibers from both ipsilateral as well as contralateral cortical areas of the brain. And the part of the facial nerve nucleus here, part of the facial nerve nucleus which supplies only the lower part of the facial muscles, the lower part of facial muscles will supply corticonuclear fibers from the same ipsilateral cerebral hemisphere. So therefore, this diagram is very important. It will serve as the basis of understanding of applied anatomy of the facial nerve. So therefore, if there are two types of lesions in facial nerve, if the lesion is present in the infranuclear region of the facial nerve, infranuclear means below the facial nerve nucleus. Here if the lesion is there, then what will happen? opposite half of the facial muscles are paralyzed. Which will be not opposite half, sorry, same half of the facial muscles are paralyzed. Ipsilateral, same half of the facial muscles are paralyzed. Same half of facial muscles, ipsilateral facial muscles are paralyzed. In which that condition will be known as facial palsy or Bell's palsy. In which lesion? Infranuclear lesion of facial nerve. Infranuclear, below the facial nerve nucleus. Then we come to supranuclear lesion. That is, if the facial nerve is damaged above the facial nerve nucleus, that is the fibers received from the cortical area, supranuclear, above. In supranuclear, if supposing supranuclear facial nerve injury is there, then upper part of the muscles of the facial architecture will escape paralysis. There will be no paralysis of this upper half, because this is received by both the cortical areas, bilateral representation. So therefore, even if one part of the supranuclear lesion there is a damage, then this opposite part is already coming. The opposite part is cortical area is supplying to the facial nerve nucleus, and from the facial nerve nucleus it will supply to the upper half. So anyway, in the supranuclear lesion, the upper half of the face will be left normal. There will be no paralysis. Only the symptoms will be in lower half, and in lower half also in the opposite side. On the opposite side of the lower half of the face, whatever muscles are there in the opposite side of the lower half of the face, those muscles will be paralyzed. In which condition? Supranuclear lesion of facial nerve. So once again I repeat, infranuclear lesion of facial nerve will lead to Bell's palsy or facial palsy. Which condition and what are the symptoms? Same side, ipsilateral side, same half of the facial muscles are paralyzed. And in case of supranuclear lesion of the facial nerve nucleus, what will happen will be the upper half of the facial muscles will escape paralysis. There will be no paralysis because it is represented by both the cortical areas. Lower half of the facial nerve nucleus, opposite side, will be paralyzed in supranuclear lesion. So this is the basis of facial palsy as well as the supranuclear palsy. Facial palsy is infranuclear palsy, and the supranuclear palsy will be the upper fibers which are coming from cortico areas. And in Bell's palsy, facial palsy, what are the features which I had given the homework to you before 2 days? There will be, on the affected side of the face, there will be loss of wrinkles on the face. The face will be drawn to the normal side. There will be incomplete closure of the eye. The eyes will remain open. The incomplete closure of the mouth. So the food, when the person tries to eat the food, will pass out through the affected side. And also, the opposite half of the face will not show any wrinkles, as I already told you, and it will be completely paralyzed. There will be no expression on that side of the face. So with this, my dear students, we are ending the facial now.